So I'm not sure how the licenses are distributed. I know that English and Algebra 1, it's different than the whole group where y'all will actually be enrolling students in. I just don't know if y'all can enroll all of your students or how that works. No?
I don't think so.
Because there's only a certain amount of licenses. She said that we will purchase more.
We have 100 licenses right now through the district, so I
Yeah.
think it's for credit recovery and homebound at this point.
No, you have 410
Oh,
tutorials licenses.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
tutorials different. Courses,
Perfect.
you're not gonna enroll students in courses unless it is credit recovery or homebound, but tutorials, which is what we're gonna look at now, there's only 107 used. So y'all may be able to enroll, you might choose some students to enroll in because those are your, either students who are doing super good and you need extra work for them while you're reteaching, or the students that you need to reteach as your others continue to work. So you all can decide how you want to use that.
Like I have EOC this semester and next semester, so if I enroll the one this semester
Take them out, you can put new ones
and I
in.
take them out, then
You can
I
even enroll 10 students in just for Unit 1 help, take those 10 students out and put another 10 students in.
Oh, okay.
So the seats, it's just if you're sitting in a seat, you're taking a license. As soon as you get up out of that seat, it's open for another student.
Okay.
How many does our school have?
The district has 410. I'm not sure how they separated them per school, but we can find that out. What I would say is just enroll until someone yells at you.
Yeah, I was about to
That-
say, I would
We
be.
probably got
to the
100
first one.
and the others got a 300, and that's where
Yeah,
your
but
100 came
Is it
from.
just the high schools using it, or is it also using it?
No, it's just high schools, it's ninth grade campus and Cool Springs and us.
Yeah, so these are separate from courses. Those licenses are completely different. The credit recovery homebound students, so don't even think about that. All right, so if y'all go to apexvs.com, that's how you're going to get in.
So, AP what?
Apex, APEXV is in virtual, S is in school.com.
So this is different from what we were using?
Well, no, before you couldn't get to this because you didn't have an account.
Oh, okay.
Now you have an account. So this is the actual site where you would log into. It's also on this paper at the bottom where it says sign in at Apex, V is in virtual, S is in school.com. And you'll put in that temporary password,
Oh.
and then it's gonna ask you to change your password.
She took notes, she wrote everybody up that didn't come.
All right, just let me know when y'all are in. It's gonna say you have no classes, and that's okay. Y'all able to get in?
Okay. And that's what she told you your login was? It's not a button. Did you write it down?
Do you tell me the temporary password? Actually, you can you go to
I do
scan
too,
in?
mine's not
Staff,
taking mine.
and then
Yours is?
quiz.
Mine.
Mm-hmm.
QUIZ, yes ma'am. The number 6386.
And then Angel, did I spell your name right? F-O-G-E, I mean L-E?
F-O-G-L-E, yes,
Okay.
and A-N-G-E-L.
Period.
Yep.
Okay, and mine is concept 3823,
That's correct.
Yeah.
but it's not taking it.
Which were you using?
3823. Oh, it did take it.
Because I
Maybe
still
was-
there.
Yeah, that's it.
Technology's
So that's how you can check passwords now, if you need to. Or if someone forgets it, they should be able to self-reset, but you can also click the reset if need be. So I just gave you a better job, I'm sorry.
So, by click
I gotta
Brandon's
stand
reset,
up. I'm
was
so
that
tired of
message?
sitting
Yeah.
down.
You're not able to get in tomorrow.
Big meeting.
Are you
So
gonna
that's,
record that, or
that's
you
what you get from staying.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Have you done your security questions?
Yep. I did that while she was talking
teacher asks you or Brandon to put them into an English, you click edit. Teacher enrollment. And then, right now it's just the ones that we created.
So do you want me to go ahead and enroll?
You can enroll the English teachers in here if you want. So that's how you would do that.
Okay.
And then if you need it to, so then for the other
So
courses
then I
as
would
well.
just exit out of that, right? And go to math.
You got it?
Okay. Problem.
All right, are y'all in?
Add a classroom.
Okay, so we'll click refresh on your screen, because now you might have the whole group instruction on there. That's not what we're gonna do now, we're gonna do tutorials. But you should have the whole group instruction that we just did.
She says you were done with me, she probably not gonna do mine.
That's not true. You're talking, bidding on that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Ms. Jessica.
I would
So
think
just
about
get to
that.
the My Dashboard.
All right, so now if you click the refresh button, you'll see classrooms, math whole group instruction, or English whole group instruction. So those are the courses that we looked at earlier today. So that's just if you want to, like I said, pull some tests, quizzes, practice, some readings, journals, whatever. Tutorials, completely different, and that's what we're gonna do right now. So go ahead and click on actions. And click add classroom. And I would call it tutorials, so that you know it's your tutorials classroom. And you can just create a sample one for now, or you can create, if you know you're gonna use it for your EOC period 1B or period 1 or block 1, you can create it and name it that way.
So could I make a sample one as well?
Mm-hmm.
So for my classroom name, let's say I had like a first block and a second block.
Mhm.
I could just name it that.
Mm-hmm. Like English 1, block 1, English, and then you'll do another one, English 1, block 2. And that'll just help you keep it separate if you're putting different students in for your own data purposes. But I would create one per block. Right now, we'll just do one.
And then you select the math, or where
And then
math-
you'll click, yep, solution tutorials, and then put in the tutorial that you want. So Algebra 1, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, with
Yes.
tutorials,
Do we have
Since I
algebra?
do foundations, so should I go foundations, or would you recommend the algebra one?
English.
For
Foundations is
tutorials,
leading
you-
tutorials, the algebra one.
yep, still just do Algebra 1 for that one.
Alright, so English one, first block.
I was asking, can you do algebra one and algebra
Yep.
two?
And that's what I was gonna say. So with tutorials, you can put more than one tutorial. So a student could be in 5 tutorials at once, and they're still only taking up 1 seat.
Okay.
So they could be in your math, they could be in your English tutorial, and it's still just 1 license.
Well, I need to drop down and pick the teacher.
Pick teacher,
to do
yeah.
a
Mhm.
posture.
So,
You might want to zoom out your screen, hit like Control my. Oh, there you go.
What about Miss Acupuncture?
Okay.
Do we have access to
Yes,
that
you have
also?
access to ACT, SAT, GED test prep, Acuplacer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would create a separate classroom for that, for your, and I would call it like a test prep classroom or Acuplacer, what college prep, community college prep, whatever you want to call it. You have access to anything that is listed there. So if you have a student who comes to you and say, hey, I really need an ACT test prep, what do? I don't have enough money to pay, or I work on a Saturday, you can put them in that ACT test prep. And you can put them into the English test prep too, it doesn't matter. If you're a math teacher,
Right.
if you're a Spanish teacher, you could put them into any of those tutorials.
I just select
Yeah,
tutorial.
pick tutorials.
First solution?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Mhm.
Like, mine doesn't let me select. Is it?
Well, because she's a site
special?
coordinator, yeah, she's special.
I'm to add teachers to this classroom.
You don't have to add, that's the next step, is your name listed there as the teacher? Okay, cool. So your name should be listed as the teacher, and then the next one over where it says students, this is if you want to enroll your students.
Yeah.
So you might want to enroll all of your students, or you might want to enroll a certain amount of, a few students, you might want to
It's
take a
taking
test.
kids from my Google Classroom, isn't it?
No, all of the students in the school should be listed there.
Oh. So
So you can type in anyone's last name and enroll them into your class. And like I said, I would just enroll until someone comes and says, hey, you can't do that. Because no one has said how many licenses you each have. I just know the district as a whole has 410,
Yes.
and only 100 are used so far, so use them up.
If I wanna go ahead and create my other class, can I just X out of this?
Make sure that you saved it, X out of it, and then add classroom and do your period 2, or block 2.
Okay, now,
Because I haven't added students yet.
That's okay, I'll show you how to come back and add students.
So I
Yep,
do.
go ahead and X. And then action at classroom, and go ahead. Actually, close out of that real quick.
That's what it is.
Yeah, just hit X. Hover over that English, okay, so you see that pencil? That if you go back there, that takes you to the box, so then you can go put students in.
Edit classroom.
Yep.
This is easier than your say test prep.
And that's the ones that are.
Yeah, and the data on it is a lot, the data piece is really good on
The
this.
student enrollment.
yeah, there you go. That was like if you and Terry wanted to be on the same one, you could enroll for, y'all could have the same one, I don't know what benefit that would have.
Or if you have a special ed teacher that
Yeah.
co-teaches
There you
with you, you could put the special ed teacher, the ESOL teacher, then they all have the same access to the data.
That makes sense.
Or if you have a homebound student and a homebound student is in multiple courses, you all can be listed as the teacher for that student.
What would you suggest here, should I just do Algebra 1 South Carolina, or Algebra 1 South Carolina and intermediate? I'm not really
It doesn't matter if you're just doing it for a test. I mean, you could put them all in just so you can see what they look like.
Okay.
The ones that say South Carolina are built for South Carolina, obviously, the ones that don't, they're just built for the Common Core standards.
So I need that trigger, and I got that in my pricing
So-
And you can put, like, say that you could put all subjects in too if you wanted to. You can create a science one and put science, and do whatever you want.
Okay, so
I'm searching,
I've
seeing
got
if I
one
can search.
enrolled. I can
Okay.
come back and enroll more later.
Yep, or if this student, you can also withdraw that. If someone says, hey, you're using too many licenses, you can come and look and say, hey, these are the 10 I want in, and withdraw the ones that you don't want in.
Okay.
And then you can.
Listen, I'm adding mine until somebody says.
That's what I would
something
do.
to me, because
But your English one of my foundations, we're stuck at 15 on that one, by 21.
I have spent 4 weeks on office craft and using textual emails.
So she has to, like.
Yeah, so you might want to also look at the courses and just see what else is in the foundations of the
Yeah,
courses,
I was
but the
thinking some of
tutorials,
those.
if you enroll your students, and you get your students into the tutorial on the computer. So foundations up top for whole group or even for small group, but I would use this to actually get your students in and doing it.
So using the foundation part on the board as the warm up and then working on.
Yeah, you could
The
small
kids
group,
is,
you can rotate group, you can do.
I'm amazed at how low some of these ninth graders are this year.
So, okay, so let's go back with the tutorial. So y'all have your English, your 9th grade students, right? 9th grade, I'm assuming, for English for Algebra 1. You can also put in, so the tutorials, okay, let me do that. Go ahead and close out of your tutorial. Close out of where you're creating your tutorial. To go back to it, if you hover over, there's a pencil next to it. That's how you can go back in and add your students if you need. So you don't have to add your students today. You can. You don't have to, though. You can always go back and add or withdraw. But go ahead and click into the tutorial. All right, so same as the courses, they're all set up, not the same as the courses, but in the same way as the courses, they're set up the same. If you have Algebra or English open, it does not matter. Start wherever you want to assign the students. I'm just gonna start with the real number system. There's a pretest for every tutorial. For math and English, the pretests are adaptive down to an elementary level. So if a student takes this pretest and they bomb it, these are the 3 topics. It's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna skip the pretest just for today. But it's gonna say, hey, before you get back to grade level, before I try to teach you grade level, I'm gonna give you some supporting topics. So if a student bombed that pretest, they'll have supporting topics listed here, or you can click on all, and these are all the supporting topics for this specific lesson. for the real number system. Some have more than one supporting topic, some have 3, some have 1, it just depends. And this could go all the way back through an elementary level. If this still is not working for your students, they're going through the pretest and they just keep on getting supporting topics, put them into a Math 8 tutorial, put them into a Math 6 tutorial, put them into a lower level tutorial. Yeah, they're gonna see it, that it says Math 6, Math 7, but they probably also know they don't need to be an Algebra 1 tutorial because they need that Math 6 or 7 or 8, 6, 7, or 8. So you can add as many tutorials into your classroom as you want, you just have to assign them to the students. So you might be doing small groups and this group is working, you don't even have to tell them, hey, this is the Math 6 group, this is the Math 7 group. But you can go through it and say, hey, this is what you're working on, this is what you're working on. I'll show you how to create it, how to get an assignment sheet. You can just print that assignment sheet out once to the students and tell them what they're working on. You cannot lock it out, so Bobby only sees real number and Sarah only sees function, but you could assign them differently. Or you could assign the Math 6, the Math 7, the Math 8. So they're very flexible for how you're assigning the students into the tutorials. But if you have someone like what y'all are saying who are super low in English 1, you can just assign them English 8. You can add the English 8 tutorial into your classroom. You can even use English 8 as your whole group.
In this tutorial, I'm looking at the pretest, with literary elements, or elements of literature, excuse me. Is this one of the ones I can copy and paste?
That's in the other.
I would have to just put it on the board.
This you'd have to put on the board, yeah. Or you would have the students log in and take it.
Oh, okay.
So because you're enrolling your students, they would have this pretest. They take it. So the ones that are whole group instruction, there's like everyone in the school is pregnant or just had a baby. Congratulations.
3 pregnant and 1 next.
Oh, that's fun. What are you due?
January.
Oh, that's exciting. Y'all are gonna have a whole slew of teachers out next semester, huh?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so you can have your students in there and they would actually take that pretest and then you get the results. I'll show you. Okay, so you're back into the courses.
Okay, so
Click there for Algebra 1. Nope, the one that's, there you go. So these are the tutorials.
okay.
And then go ahead, just click into any of them, it doesn't matter which one.
Do you
They'll
want
all
us to
start
skip
with
the
this
pretest
pretest.
or skip
You can skip the pretest, unless that's 33, you can skip it. You can skip the pretest or you can start it.
Well, I was.
It's okay,
I
so
thought
you
I
can
would
take a look at it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, you could whole group this, but the best way for using the tutorials is having your student take it. Because the students at the beginning of each unit are going to take a pretest. It's going to prescribe their learning. After the pretest, they're going to go into each of the topics. Within each of the topics, there's also a test called a test-it. So now you have the pretest data point, you have the 3 test-it data points, and then there's also a post-test. So you're able to see if they actually have any growth from pre to post test.
That growth word.
That's a big word.
It is. Okay, so like once I started this pretest, I have to finish it?
The student has to finish it. You can close out of the tutorial and come back in.
Okay.
If you do click skip pretest and you go into any of the topics, they all are set up the same way. Learn it, try it, review it, test it. Learn it is going to be your direct instruction piece. So really just another way to present the concept. You can skip straight to rational exponents if that's what you want to be focusing on. So same deal, you can use the tutorials are best for your students to be working on within their own account so you can get that data. But you could pull this up whole group, no problem at all. You can do both. Whole group while your students are working at their desks on their Chromebooks or whatever computers they have access to. You have the key terms again. There are practice exercises all throughout the Learn It. It gives hints for your students. Don't judge me, I'm just throwing some boxes up there. why my hint is not showing up, but I should be getting a hint. Oh, there it is. It was down there. So it'll give students hints along the way. Hey, this is what we just learned. Think about it again. So the learn it is going to be the instructional piece. The try it is where they try out what they've just learned. The review it is going to be a 3 to 5 minute video trying to take the law of exponents or whatever your topic and relating it to a real life type of concept. So it's not just writing out more math problems on the board. The review it's are great videos for your students just to get started with. They might watch the review it first and then go to the try it, or then go to the learn it, or they might watch the review it and take the post test or take the test it and see if they understand it yet, or what they don't understand, and then go back. They could take the test it 3 times before it's going to say you've exhausted all of your tries. The videos, you might just use the videos and that's it to introduce your lesson. So now you'll have the option of using these videos as well as the unit overview and the lesson overview videos that are part of the courses. These videos are definitely going to be different and more relatable to the students, but both sets of videos can help you out. And then the test it, so this one is 8 questions, and it tells the student whether they got the answer right or wrong, and if they want to retake it, like I said, they do have 3 attempts at these. With the tutorials, you're not necessarily looking at a grade. You're not going to say, hey, take this, and this is going to be your grade for the day. You're looking at growth. This is what you took for the pretest. You went through the instructional piece, and now this is the test it. If your students are still super low on that test it, you know they don't get it. Either they're not trying, or they don't get it, or both. So the data piece, which I'll show y'all, is where you're really going to be focusing once you do get your students rolling with the tutorials. This might be something that you say, hey, we're going to work on this every Thursday is going to be test prep day or review day, and I'm going to assign you one of these units every Thursday, or we're going to start it on Thursday and I want you to have it done by the next Thursday. So as long as your students have a cell phone that they could do the tutorials on, or if they have time to come into your classroom, they could work on them. You can give them the whole block, but they may need some extra time. And then by the time they come into class the next Thursday, you know what they know and don't know on the real number system. Or maybe you're getting ready for your functions test. It's time for the unit test, and you're a little scared to give that test because they don't look very confident. So you might just assign that functions as part of your test review. Hey, we're going to go through this tutorial before we take the unit test. So this is going to get you more ready for it. And some students might completely bomb this. Don't even worry about giving them that unit test because you already know they're going to fail. They need some more practice. You'll be able to see the data for which of your students are above and below 70 very quickly and easily on the data panel. If you click, whenever you're back out here, view outline, this is going to show you all of the topics within the tutorial. I'll show you a better place to get this. But if you have it open and you need to quickly know where are polynomial basics, you could see it here. So you'd have to go to Unit 11, Lesson 1. You can't just click there. But this will show all of the topics. Y'all can stay in the tutorial. I am going to go into the data piece of it so that you can see probably the best part of it for you all. So this is what your data is going to look like once you've enrolled students in. You can review data by units and modules. So units are the big units. Modules are the topics within. If I'm getting ready to give my test, I might break this down by modules to see which of my students are in the red and which are in the green. So I know these 4 students still don't understand the law of exponents. You can also, like I said, do it by units, so you could break it down that way. Or if you're having your students work on this weekly or bi-weekly, and you're getting ready for EOC test prep and you need to know where to focus, as long as you've had your students working on tutorials consistently through the year, over here where it says sort by, you can go by below 70%. And I know this is the unit the majority of my students are struggling with. And then next. As your students are working through the tutorials, you're gonna have more and more data to really be able to focus your instruction in the classroom. So I know, all right, they are struggling with exponential functions, so that's what I'm going to reteach. Or you might sort it by modules to get those individual topics by below 70, and absolute value functions is where they're struggling. This is what I need to teach. This one student, Samara, these are demo students, she's good. She doesn't need to be retaught here, but Samara might be struggling somewhere else. If you click on any of these scores, you'll be able to see the students' individual tests. So all of these are hyperlinks to the students' test its. If I have it sorted by units, I can click to see the students' pre-test and post-test. So I can open that up to review. Another place y'all might want to hang out is the standards. I might sort my standards by below 70%. And I know this is a standard that the majority of my students are struggling with. And it tells you the related module for that standard. So depending on how you go about your EOC test prep, standards might be the one that you look at. And like I said, as your students are completing more and more tutorials, you're going to get more and more data there to be able to tell who is where. And also, say you do assign this and you give your students 2 weeks, hey, I want y'all to finish this unit by 2 Thursdays from now. Everyone needs to have it done. You can work on it in class, you can come after class, you can work on it here. You give them opportunities because you don't expect they have the internet at home, but they have opportunities and places to work. You can stand at your door and you know the 3 students who did not complete their homework before they even walk into your class. There's no excuse, I forgot it at home, my mother drove away with it, can I bring it in tomorrow? No, these 3 students did not do what you assigned them. You had 2 weeks to complete it. What's going on here? So I wouldn't call it a homework replacement because not all of our students have technology to work on it at home. But if you've given them the opportunity to complete, you know right away who's struggling, who's succeeding, and who didn't do it. If you click on an individual student's name, and the parents say, what are you doing to help my student? There's a nice, I'll call it a score sheet, a data sheet for that student. Well, you could say, well, Abby didn't do so well on the unit exam for expressions, equations, and inequalities. We put her on this tutorial. This is how she did. I let her retake the test after she showed me mastery on these topics.
That's what I was saying, is the way the equations stuff, equations and inequalities together. It'd be a good way to do a review prior to them taking a retest.
In the help section, if you're trying to figure out how to assign these tutorials, I'm going to go to so before we went to course guides, that was your whole group instruction. I'm going to go to tutorial guides in here. And I'm going to break it down to South Carolina and filter.
You went to South Dakota.
I did. I don't know where I am anymore. All right, South Carolina. All right, Algebra 1, I'm going to click Content Outline. This might be something you save on your desktop. Oh, this is cool. For South Carolina, we're working on doing this for all the states, but it actually breaks down within each tutorial the standard. So you could see what is in the what is in each unit, the topics, and then the standards that are addressed within each. So this is the unit outline. So this one's 14 pages. Whoops. There is also a assignment sheet in PDF version. This is U.S. history, but that's okay. Or AccuPlacer, that's okay. So So you could use this to assign tutorials to your students. So you could print this out from day one, and you could just say, hey, these are your due dates or whatever, use this to assign. Or we just created these XLS spreadsheets. I can get out of those. I'm not in South Carolina anymore. But these XLS spreadsheets are able to be modified. If I can open it.
It's down there.
Oh yeah, you got it, thank you. Open 3 times. So this is the same as that assignment sheet, but you can modify it. You can enable editing, and you can create one of these per student if you want to. This is the AccuPlacer, so, but same, you guys, you get it. You can assign these, or you could create one of these, put it in your Google Classroom, have your students pull it up, and they know that this is what they need to work on today, tomorrow, whenever. You can print this, have it posted, put the dates up there so your students know what to work on. If you have some students working in Math 6 or Math 7, because they're a little bit lower, you would just print the assignment sheet for Math 6 or Math 7 and give it to that student. You could erase the title and just put math in the title, so they really don't know. Or no one who sees their paper will know that they're working in Math 6 or 7, but you can assign them that way to the students. So you do have to tell them where to go. There is no way to just direct them in. But once they know where to go, it's very student driven. As long as they know to go through each of the topics, take the pre-test first, and that'll prescribe the rest of the learning
So
for them.
that's what you're meaning, that the menus are all there no matter what, but we tell them specifically what to go into.
Yep, you would have to assign it to the student. And you may start off with just whole group assignment. You might start off your English,
Math.
your math. You might start off, everyone's in Algebra 1, and we're gonna get started. But as students start to work, I mean, we're a month into school, 2 months into school, you know where they are. So even if you start on Algebra 1, you might start to veer off, this group is here, this group is here, this group is here. But as long as you have the assignment sheet and just duplicate it so that you have a copy for yourself or it's in their group, however you do it, they know where they're to be working. Because if they're struggling in Algebra 1, even though they have that pretest, it's not gonna help them to keep trying to do grade level if they don't know, if they're not ready for grade level. Because it'll just be supporting topic, supporting topic, supporting topic. If you do have AccuPlacer students, or ACT, SAT test prep students, most of those are very student driven. You just tell the student, this is your username, this is your password, I set it up for you, go. You don't have to monitor your AccuPlacer, SAT test prep students. That's really something that they're doing on their own, unless that's a class that you actually teach. Or if you have those students who are really just, they're doing so well, but the other 90% of your class you need to reteach, maybe you do put them onto SAT, ACT, AccuPlacer test prep. So they're not sitting there bored and throwing spitballs and bothering everyone and texting and doing whatever in the back of the room. They're doing something that's going to be worthwhile to them. It's not just extra work that you're giving to them. Y'all have questions with the tutorials? So
Is there
tutorials, sorry, go ahead.
Is there a 1-800-HELP?
Yes, there is. Support at apexlearning.com, but at the bottom of this in big letters,
Okay.
and also at the bottom of all of our pages, they put it at the very, very bottom and hide it from you, but it says contact support, so you can always click there to get more information. There's a chat. I haven't heard anyone using the chat just yet, but it is there if you need. You can also, if you want my email address, you can write it. It's GEMMA.Dobis, D as in dog, O, B as in boy, O, S as in Sam, at apexlearning.com. When you're in your own account and you click the help menu, it's going to bring you here. Staff getting started, there's one for courses and tutorials. And this is going to give you, I'll just click on the tutorials, pretty much everything that you need from start to end to run the tutorials. The how-to, same thing, just go through how-to, and this gives quick little, you don't have to read the whole thing, it'll give you exactly what you need, just a quick link for how to enroll your students, how to create the classroom, how to assign content. There is a student getting started for tutorials, so if you want to put your students onto an orientation video, or if you want a whole group in orientation video, you can just do that before you start teaching using the tutorials. They're very student friendly though, as long as you tell them where to go. All it is, it's pretty much like gaming, like an app, minus the gaming part. But you could just put them on there as well. Do y'all teach classes other than your EOC classes? So the whole group courses, you have access to all of the ones that are created. You can create a whole group tutorials classroom. So if you teach Algebra 2, or if you teach a different course and there is a tutorial for it, you can create your own classroom called whole group tutorials, and you can use that as whole group as well. So you're not stuck to just, this is tutorials only for these specific students. You could do, this is my EOC tutorial classroom, block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4. You can create another one and just call it whole group tutorials and put in all of the other classes that you teach that are available. So you have the whole group. So maybe you really like the review videos that you're using for your EOC. Same thing with the geometry tutorials, with the algebra, with the other tutorials that we offer. So you do have access to those. Y'all thinking of ideas that you can use them? Students who might be needing these?
And I've got some special ed students that I know for a fact are sitting at 3rd grade
Right.
and trying to do geometry. So I can see where using that, at least with a special ed teacher, co-teaching, setting up something.
Yeah, and for those students, you may, if they're at a 3rd grade level, it is going to be tough, but it is a resource. You could always put them in the Math 6 tutorial, and it will prescribe them down, but it just gives another resource for the special ed teacher for that student. So any of anything that is listed, I have all of them, it's kind of crazy. But anything that is listed here, you do have access to. On yours, I have every state that's
you got
possible.
everything.
Y'all have South Carolina. But you have the Math 6, 7, 8, you have all of those. And then also have those teachers look at the foundations, those foundations courses, at least foundations.
There's a couple of people that I know the foundations courses would be helpful because they don't have those skills.
Mhm.
But I've also seen, I can see an advantage of using the foundations as the whole classroom on the board
Mhm.
because we've discovered across the board that some of our seniors have forgotten some of those early skills because they've gotten so much into the higher math. So I could see throwing some of that up.
Yep, and they don't know. Again, they have no idea.
Even
She's teaching
some of
us.
that are not going to college but may need to do a placement test at BMW.
Yep.
They don't know how to do basic math anymore without a calculator.
Right.
So, this would be something. Did somebody eat them?
They gone.
She just forgot that she was out.
Forgot you watched
So I know right now, it's Algebra 1 and English 1 that are using the tutorials. If there is like a case like that with a special ed student that might need it for a science or a social studies course, you can always take a look at the tutorials. Y'all do have access to them. It's not like you don't have access. So the special ed teacher might just use this for their whole group. Teachers, your licenses are unlimited. Y'all can, every teacher in the school, plus paraprofessionals, anyone can have a license, and that doesn't affect the usage.
It's just when we enroll students.
It's just the students, yep. And the students, like I said, they can be one student in 5 tutorials, and that's one license.
Right.
But that student in the 5 tutorials, if they're also in one course, now it's a course license and a tutorial. So those are separate.
Yes.
But the tutorials, if you want to put your AccuPlacer students in, you can do that as well, as your algebra courses. But like I said, if you have a special ed teacher, someone who wants just to see whole group what's available for tutorials, or a biology teacher wants to see something, we have those as well. So they can create whole group tutorial classrooms and use them that way. They're just not going to be able to enroll the students and get all of those same data points that you all will. And like I said, if you're using them a lot, Dr. Hinton did say there is the option to purchase more licenses if needed. All right, so y'all know how to create a classroom, you know how to choose the tutorial, you know how to enroll a student, good with that? If the students are not there, so if it's a new student to the school, don't create their account yet. See either Jessica or Mr. Henderson.
Cause new to school.
Yeah, new to school, because that's, all of your students are what are called batch imported. So they have an external ID associated with them, so don't create their account, just, like I said, see Jessica or Mr. Henderson, and he'll know the steps.
Okay, so he knows what to do, cause I don't know. Also see.
It probably is, and he may have to just submit that name, or you, Jessica, you could probably submit it, or let Dr. Hinton know. I'm sure there's a process, I just don't know exactly what it is, because it's not an automated process, the way it's set up right now.
Absolutely.
I'm going to set, who did we say, Kaylee's not here, right? She left, okay, I'm gonna set her up, an account as well. Y'all can just let her know to check her email, that's where, or else, Jessica, you can get her.
Did she set it up? Or did you set it up?
She,
for her
no,
already?
did I?
I was thinking I saw
Maybe
that.
I did.
One minute.
Oh, I already did. Okay, well, you can tell her temporary, or it should go to her email.
And you said tell Deb to check her email too.
Yes.
And you've got Katie in there.
Oh,
So everyone should be in. You know how to create staff if needed. I am going to get y'all the Google Docs link. That's specific to the courses, so keep that in mind. That is not tutorials. So you know how to find the tutorial guides, you know how to find the assignment sheets, they're all in the help. So if you need pretty much anything you need, just go to help home, and they are in there. I do what are called 20-minute tip webinars monthly, and we're focusing on tutorials for the next couple of months. So you should start to get those emails since you have accounts set up now. So you should get the 20-minute tips. In October, the first week of October is math, the third week of October is going to be English, and we're switching back and forth to focus on the subjects. So if y'all are able to do those, they're also recorded. So there's a link in the email invitation that you should get for the recorded session. So if they're at 3 o'clock Eastern time, but if y'all can't watch them on your computer then, the link will be available to you. Just, if you are able to watch, I take a lot of time at the end to answer questions. So if we're not able to get back out here with y'all and you have questions as you're using them, or you hear other people and the questions that they have as they're going through, that's usually helpful. So just keep an eye out for those email invitations.
Yeah, 3 of us will be teaching at that point.
Okay. All right, would y'all have anything else for me?
Looks really good. I like the fact that we can get data back. I was afraid we wouldn't be able to get
Yeah,
data.
the data, especially with tutorials, is awesome.
I like that you just run across the line. Like, I'm a math teacher and I can figure it out, how many students in that percentage did not get it right. But like, for some teachers, it would be hard. Like, they just scan across that line, well, there was 5 that didn't get, there was 3 that did, and 2 that didn't, not even try.
And it's real time, so as
Right.
you have your students working on it, you can kind of just be hanging out. I mean, you're gonna walk around and stuff, but you can be, you know right away, Bob's struggling.
Yeah.
Joe did not get it, Sarah, whoo, high five. You know right away who's
And-
getting it, and it pretty much populates as they're sitting there doing the work.
And we can use that as one of decide who's ready to move on and who we need to group together and spend extra time with. It's really good.
You will see some of the pretests, like the 33 question one. With those, it's really diving down into the
Well,
lower
it's a big
levels.
topic
That's why,
because
yeah.
it's covering what I'm gonna do in 4 tests,
Mhm.
all in one thing.
So even if you do that, even before, some teachers like to do it before they even teach the unit, just to see what they know.
What areas they need to be
Yep.
heavy on.
So you can do it before you teach the unit, so you know what to focus on, and then you can reset their scores after you've taught the unit and have them take the pretest again. So the first pretest is just for you, so you know what to focus on. The second pretest is for them before they take the unit test, and now they can prep for each
For
unit that they need to work on.
I like that.
You can, I don't think I showed you this, but if you are in,
I just wanted to do that one because it's the one I'm on, but
But, honey, you should have seen them popping off, they was making up answers.
so if you did that, if you had your students take the pretest, say for, let's just say for unit 1, they took it, and now you know how they did on the pretest, you can click here and see their score. You can click and then reset those pretest scores, so now they can take it
Okay.
again.
okay.
Reset.
Or if it's just a couple of students that you need to reset, but you can reset the pretest scores, post-test scores, or the individual tested scores.
Now, when you reset, does it erase the prior data? So
Yeah, it's
it would be
fine.
important to like maybe use the
Yeah.
snipping tool
Yep.
and just that way we can save it on Google.
Is there like a pretest for Algebra 1? Like the
In
whole?
general, no, it's just per,
EU unit.
for courses, it's per unit, for tutorials, it's per topic.
Maybe just gotta be an extra letter. I do.
All right, well, that's all that I have for y'all. You have my email, you have support, you have the help desk. Brian's been using courses a lot, so if you have questions with using courses, check with him. Like I said, I would just download the syllabus for the courses that you might use and then Control F, and you can find your topic right away and you know where it is. You can just launch quickly. Sure, well,
Yes,
thank y'all. I
thank you
know
very much.
staying after school is not always the most fun or easy. Y'all had a long day, but
Well, we lost
But,
our math, software that we were using last year with 10 marks, and it gave us a lot of data back. So, I mean, I do like the fact that we can get